Okay, so I had big plans to set up a whole spot where I could start doing videos for this page. Specifically, it's been something I wanted to do for a long time. And instead, I am now sitting in the car, away from children's ears, and feeling really, really, really insecure and full of self-doubt and all those wonderful things that we tend to uh, allow to overcome us at times, and we certainly allow those things to affect the way we move, the way we think. I know for this page, there's going to be a lot of things that people will find out about me that I used to be quite ashamed of. I sat with a lot of shame and guilt for a very, very long time. And I do believe that sitting with that shame and guilt and not being capable of forgiving myself, it just kept me in that vicious cycle. I'm an addict in recovery. And I've had to learn how to forgive myself for a lot of the decisions I've made that I'm not proud of. In talking to people from all walks of life, one thing I have realized is that if you yourself have not dealt with addiction firsthand, you probably know somebody that is. You probably have a loved one that is struggling, or a friend that talks about a loved one that is struggling. And let me tell you one thing about this disease is that it's a beast. You know, it's addiction is literally the only disease, in my opinion, that tells us that we don't have a disease. It will do anything and everything in its power to convince you that you are okay. And once you gain a little clean time under your belt, you can use responsibly. And these are the lies that we choose to believe because we find some form of comfort in temporary numbness. I know for myself, I had a great childhood, great parents, great friends, still do. Thank God I didn't burn every single bridge. But for me, it was more or less being that strong person, being the life of the party, being the funny one, being the loud one. I'm from Chicago. I'm not the loudest one in my group. They can attest to that. But you know, we're a rowdy bunch of girls and guys, and you know, for me, I never felt comfortable sitting in vulnerability, never admitting to anybody that I had an issue or something that I was struggling with. And I did myself a huge disservice by trying to pretend that everything was fine for far too long. By the time I had come clean, it was not because I wanted to. It was simply because I had led myself to such a destructive path that it was no longer unnoticeable to those around me. I'm a mother of two boys. I'm married to a pretty incredible guy, and you know, I've always been here. I've always been here to wake them up in the morning, my kids. I've always been here to give them their meals. I've always been here to put them to sleep. But was I present? And that's what bothered me, because learning how to be present and still and in the moment, and learning how to have a relationship with the higher power of my understanding has been such a blessing. My mind was constantly somewhere else. As much as I was trying to listen to a friend say over the phone that he or she was having a serious life issue and a problem, I could spit out advice all day. That's great. I'm not the greatest at taking it. But even during those discussions, there's times that I look back to and excuse me, I smoke. I'm sorry if that offends any of you. One thing at a time, guys. Right? Uh, I remember my mind always being somewhere else. In active addiction. I always remember, even when I was playing with my kids, like, well, mommy, can we go to the park? And of course I'd love to go to the park. I mean, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Any second that I have with these children is a blessing. And I took those small moments for granted because my mind was elsewhere. My mind was completely and fully occupied by my addiction. How I was going to get it, how I was going to come up with the money, how I was going to not be sick. Because clearly and I'm sure most of you can understand this if you're an addict yourself. After a while the fun stops. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If it was all awful, I would have never done it. There were certainly some very good times. I remember the first time I put an opiate in my system, and I felt for some reason that it completed me. It gave me something maybe that I had been searching for or missing, and I went and I chased that something. That's something that was so temporary. That's something that brought me so high, but inevitably brought me to the lowest points of my life. This page, I'm not going to get into too much of my story. I'm Katie. I'm from Chicago. My goal is really just to open up discussion. Things that have helped me along my journey. Things that didn't help. Things that I did do wrong. Not accepting other people's advice that have been there. Thinking that I knew it all, right? Funny how I sit here so insecure and so full of self-doubt. But when I was in active addiction, I held on to whatever little bit of pride I had left, right? I grasped onto it, and I tried to convince everybody, including myself, that everything was fine. I had it under control. These are the lies that we feed ourselves so that we can continue feeding our habit. Later on in life, I did discover what happens to the brain once you are an active addict, and that drug becomes survival. Our main purpose, the sole function of our brain, its main purpose, why it exists, is to help us survive. That is its main goal. And so when your brain is rewired and you are then convinced that you will not survive without a substance, you will go to any lengths to make sure you have that substance in your body. And it's a miserable merry-go-round to be on. I've been on it, I've been off it, I've been on it again, I've been off it. And I can tell you that one thing of being off of it is that it doesn't mean that life is perfect. There's still problems, right? But you're better able and better equipped to handle them. I know for a long time, for myself, one of my greatest downfalls was being my own worst critic, and never giving myself a moment to be proud, never giving myself a moment to admire my courage and my strength, and constantly telling myself that I wasn't worth it and that people would be better off without me. I, I I cannot count the amount of times that I woke up angry with God for waking me up in the morning. So this is just it's kind of depressing, right? It started that out a little bit sad like, but I just want to let you know that if you're struggling with anything, and by all means, like to be a part of this page, which I hope you choose to do, this is about personal growth. You do not have to be an addict, or you don't have to be in recovery to appreciate some of the things that I'm going to talk about and address on this page, because I really think that a lot of these things that I'm applying to my own life now, that's helping me grow as a person and get to know myself on a different level. I think we all go through those things. I think that the 12 steps, for instance, shouldn't just apply to people with an addiction. I think that I personally think that everybody should apply the 12 steps to their life, because it's a great way. It's a great way to live. It's a code to live by that keeps you from falling into a state of being complacent. Um, it allows you to grow, and it allows you to check yourself, and it reminds you to clean your own side of the street and not take on other people's inventory. Um, I know I used to do that a lot. I used to compare myself to others, say in treatment or others that I've met, and I'm like, well, hey, I still have a roof over my head. I'm a mother to my children, right? Like I'm this great person, so I'm not like them. Um, I was taking on their inventory, and I had no business to, because surely my side of the street was very dirty, and I just didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to look at it, because looking at it means that you have to acknowledge it. It means you have to address it and do something about it. And that's where I didn't know early on what those tools were, what kind of work that it took to be able to look at all of your imperfections and your true authentic self, and to know that it's possible to change and to strive to be better, and to do it little by little every day. Just put it into practice and you see results. But you also have to stop, and you have to acknowledge how far you've come. Because I know a really huge habit of mine is seeing how far I have to go. And it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for a person like me. Because I know I truly have a lot of growth um, left to do. I have so much more learning. I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop changing. I never want to stop striving to be a better version of me each day. And in order to do that, you have to take a really good look at yourself in the mirror, and acknowledge all of your character defects, and unpack all of these things that we were taught when we were little, such as you don't air your dirty laundry out. Don't go relying on people for things. You help yourself. Those are all things that addicts die from. Not asking for help, not airing out their dirty laundry and admitting that they have a problem. And I think not even just with addicts, I think just with humans in general, I think that's a huge issue for a lot of us, is just feeling vulnerable or feeling smaller than. And but really, in my opinion, it takes strength and courage, and I admire it so much when somebody is able to sit down and say, hey, listen, I'm flawed, I'm human, I'm imperfect, but here are some of the things that I've noticed that I can improve. And I'm not going to overwhelm myself by trying to take it all on at once, right? But if we can take one thing a day and just work on it, and make it a little bit better, I think that once we start to change ourselves on the inside, our whole world changes. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. I hope you guys drop a comment. I won't be so squirrely next time, hopefully. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more confidence and all that good stuff. And, write in the comments, any subjects, any questions that you have. I'm an open book. Everybody knows that. I don't hide one small piece of dust from in my closet. If you ask me, I'll tell you, because I'm beyond the point of shame and guilt. Our secrets keep us sick, period. And if it takes me coming on here to admit some of the things that I'm most ashamed of, and it ends up helping one other person, then it was all worth it, in my opinion. So, peace and love to you guys, all of you, and I look forward to the next video. Love you guys.